For his last outing wearing the claws, Hugh Jackman didn't hold back, and neither did James Mangold when it came to stuffing the film full of goodies. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 Logan Easter eggs.
Charles, the world is not the same as it was.
Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we are looking at the subtle nods, references, cameos, and connections to the comic book source material that made this R-rated Wolverine film feel like the gift that keeps on giving.
What the hell are you?
Number 10, X-23.
She's not my child, but I love her.
There's nothing subtle about little Laura's role in the film. She was at the very center of the narrative. However, as we've seen so many times before, putting a character in the spotlight doesn't mean they've been done justice. What fans really appreciated about X-23's depiction was the attention to detail that went into crafting her character and accompanying backstory. From her laboratory upbringing and the surgery to enhance her claws to her experience with self-harm, Logan's Laura was heavily modeled after her character's origin story as told in the 6-part miniseries Innocence Lost. After Fox's mishandling of characters' past, it was nice to see the source material respected with so many little nods. Number 9, the Reavers.
See, you're not the only one that's been enhanced.
No X-Men flick is complete without an army of henchmen for Wolverine to tear through. In this film, however, we got to see Logan face off against more than cannon fodder, thanks to the inclusion of the in-canon group known as the Reavers. Granted, there are some notable differences between these villains from the late 80s and their on-screen counterparts, but for longtime X-Men readers, the remaining similarities didn't go unnoticed. For starters, both groups are led by Donald Pierce. While the Reavers seen in Logan were downgraded from the over-the-top criminals to goal-oriented mercenaries, and largely stripped of their cybernetic enhancements, Pierce got a robotic arm as a nice connection to their origins. Number 8, PowerEnhancing Drugs.
They gave it to us when we would fight. It makes you stronger.
What makes you crazy is what it does.
Ask a serious Marvel Comics reader and they'll tell you, there's plenty of precedents for mutant-enhancing drugs. From street drugs like Kick, to the power-boosting Banshee of the Ultimate Universe, which was actually derived from Wolverine's blood, chemical enhancements have proved a problem for the X-Men over the years. Funnily enough, one such substance, mutant growth hormones, were central to the 2006-2007 Marvel crossover event Civil War, which was adapted for the big screen in 2016, minus the mutants, of course. All that to say, Logan's use of Dr. Cornelius' serum was far from a deviation from the source material, especially as it related to his waning healing factor. But more on that later. Number 7, Wolverine's license plate.
You know, this is the lease. No one's gonna pay to ride.
This is a quick and simple one, but a great one nonetheless. In putting together Logan, director James Mangold drew on a wide variety of story arcs from the comics. Old Man Logan was fairly obvious, as was X-23's Innocence Lost miniseries and The Death of Wolverine from 2014. But the film also drew inspiration from specific comics in subtler ways too, and it seems that Mangold wanted to make us aware of one or two in particular. On the back of Logan's Chrysler, the license plate reads WER 112, which works as a nod to Uncanny X-Men 112 and Wolverine 112, both of which share thematic similarities with Logan and could have helped Mangold shape his story. Number 6, Statue of Liberty.
They're waiting for you at the Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty was a long time ago, Charles, a long time.
Much like with Sam Raimi's first 2 Spider-Man films, the first 2 X-Men installments brought to us by Bryan Singer helped show the world that comic book movies were worth taking seriously, and could not only entertain, but make for genuinely respectable cinematic subject matter. In a nod to the very first X-Men film, Logan references one noticeably iconic set piece, the Statue of Liberty. The various timelines of the X-Men franchise can cause a fair amount of confusion, so it was nice to know that this version of Wolverine and Professor X had lived that adventure together. It was also a nice homage to the time these two actors have shared, 17 years playing X-Men together.
When I found you, you were pursuing a career as a cage fighter, a warm capper to a life as an assassin, hooked on barbiturates.
Number 5, Greenwood Cemetery.
Wolverine. I knew it was you.
This is another Easter egg that would have likely gone over the heads of all but the most detail-oriented comic book readers, but serves to prove that Mangold knows his stuff. When Logan is working as a driver, one of his contracts brings him to a cemetery, where he sullenly drinks under a tree, keeping his distance from the mourners. Surely any cemetery would serve as a dark reminder to Logan of all the friends he's lost, but the reality is, given that this is Greenwood Cemetery, he likely has more than a few friends and old acquaintances buried here. Greenwood Cemetery has been a fixture of the comics for years, appearing in Deadpool, the Fantastic Four, Ultimates, and New Warriors. Number 4. The classic costume. It's time to face the facts. As desperate as he may have been to see Hugh Jackman don Wolverine's classic suit, Jackman has hung up the claws without ever donning the yellow and blue tights, or even the brown and yellow ones. As both Jackman and Mangold have made clear, they never felt that live-action Logan would wear tights, a fact that they even have Logan rant about on screen. Perhaps in an effort to throw us a bone, or take one final jab, the filmmaker decided to include a doll of Wolverine in his classic costume. And you know what? We'll take it. But we won't forgive that scene getting deleted from the Wolverine. Number 3. Shane.
This is a very famous picture, Laura. It's almost 100 years old.
Oddly enough, this one doesn't have anything to do with X-Men, Wolverine, or Marvel Comics. What makes it a standout, however, is that it is a testament to James Mangold as a filmmaker and the love and care he put into crafting this final Wolverine film, for Hugh Jackman and the fans. When lounging in the hotel room, playing the grandfather figure to Laura, Professor X and X-23 watch an old western, Shane, a film that Mangold just so happened to lean on heavily in crafting this narrative.
Man has to be what he is, Joey. Can't break the mold.
Logan and Shane share much in common, something that isn't lost on Laura, who actually quotes the film when saying goodbye to her surrogate father figure.
A man has to be what he is, Joey. Can't break the mold.
Number 2. Richter.
They have no birth certificates, no names, besides the ones we have given them.
Laura wasn't the only child to be subjected to horrible experiments at the hands of Alkali Transigen. When she finally makes it to Eden, where she is reunited with the other mutant children who escaped, we're introduced to their leader, Richter, who shares both a name and power set with the X-Factor and New Mutants character from the comics. However, unlike his comic book counterpart, it's known that Richter was genetically cloned from Dominic Petros, aka the earth-shaking supervillain Avalanche. Number 1. The Death of Wolverine.
I see you on your back. There's blood everywhere. You're holding your own heart in your hand.
When Logan was killed off in the comics in 2014, he had lost his healing factor, and a regen serum was used to keep him going. Sound familiar? Even more satisfying, however, is the way in which this tied into 2013's The Wolverine and Yukio's prediction of how Logan will die. If you'll recall, she states that he'll die on his back with blood everywhere, holding his own heart in his hand. A grisly fate to be sure, but in the end, Logan dies just as predicted, in a beautiful moment where his heart is revealed not to be literal, but a metaphor for his cloned daughter. Talk about a fantastic bit of foreshadowing.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.